Firstly, a very happy Veterans Day and a thank you to all those who have served and do serve. Today on Public Eye News, the most recent updates on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and another victim dies due to the Astroworld concert trample.
Later, Megan Tarcia will have your weather and Michael Cudahy will have your sports update. Hello, my name is Brendan Ford.
And I'm Andrew Hoover. This is Public Eye News. Michigan drivers will now be able to renew license plate tabs every 2 years instead of having to re-register annually. Under a new law which will go into effect October of 2022, Michigan drivers will now be able to purchase tabs for a 2-year period. And although the 1-year renewals will not be going away, it will provide another option for drivers looking to save a little more money in the long run. And the U.S. Federal District Court Judge Judith Levy has approved a $626 million settlement for those affected by the Flint water crisis. Following the switch of Flint's water supply to the local Flint River, the improperly treated water led to the leaching of lead from the city's aging pipe systems. And after years of fight, Judge Judith Levy has finally approved a settlement totaling $626 million, with 79.5% of the money set aside specifically for children affected by lead. Over 50,000 Flint residents have filed to be a part of the claims process, although some have objected to the inclusions of some aspects to the agreement, such as a $1,000 cap on personal property damage. And while thousands have applied to be included in the settlement claims, not all residents opted in, and some will pursue individual lawsuits against the state of Michigan and other government agencies and businesses that were not included in the federal settlement.
A rally is going on in front of the Michigan Catastrophic Claims Association in response to the new auto no-fault law. This law cuts pay for those taking care of accident survivors nearly in half and has resulted in the closing of many home care agencies. The association is responsible for paying these caretakers, and they sent insured drivers a check from their surplus, which angered those who needed caretakers and led them to rally in front of the building. And here at NMU, the AAUP faculty union voted to ratify a new contract this past Monday. NMU's Board of Trustees will have a special meeting at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow to discuss this contract's approval. They will also decide whether or not they wish to approve renegotiated AFSCME contracts. If interested, the link to this meeting can be found at nmu.edu/board. And after this break, we will be coming at you with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
On Call the Midwife.
I can still have my sister with me for the birth. She's the one who'll be adopting the baby.
If you're thinking of kissing me out here in the street, Cyril Robinson, I advise you against it.
We always have running water, nurse. Just sometimes it's running down the walls.
Nancy!
What are you up to?
She would have gone to her child, to the font of all her grief and trouble.
Call the Midwife.
Sunday night at 8 on WNMU-TV.
Welcome back. Kyle Rittenhouse's trial resumes today, a day after the defendant broke down in tears on the witness stand. The 18-year-old testified that he killed 2 people in self-defense during a protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin. On cross-examination, the prosecutor asked a series of questions that drew a strong rebuke from the judge and a request for a mistrial from Rittenhouse's lawyers. Nancy Chen has the latest from outside the courthouse in Kenosha.
There were 3 people right there.
Kyle Rittenhouse broke down on the stand Wednesday, shortly after he started to detail his encounter with Joseph Rosenbaum, one of the 2 men he shot and killed August 25th, 2020.
That's where I run. Time for our break anyway.
The judge paused the trial to allow Rittenhouse to collect himself. Later, Rittenhouse defended his actions, saying he shot Rosenbaum about 4 times.
The person that attacked me first threatened to kill me.
Rittenhouse says he then tried to get to the police as protesters began to chase him.
Why were you trying to get to the police?
So I didn't do anything wrong. I defended myself.
Rittenhouse says as he was trying to get away, the second man he shot and killed, Anthony Huber, hit him with a skateboard and tried to take his weapon.
He grabs my gun and I can feel it pulling away from me.
Rittenhouse says he shot a third man, Gage Grosskreutz, the only surviving victim, because Grosskreutz had a pistol and was standing over him.
You intentionally used deadly force against Gage Grosskreutz, correct?
Yes.
On cross-examination, prosecutor Thomas Binger tried to paint Rittenhouse as the armed instigator.
Mr. Rittenhouse, you're telling us that you felt like you were about to die, right?
Yes.
But when you point the gun at someone else, that's going to make them feel like they're about to die, right? That's what you wanted him to feel.
No!
Don't
get brazen with me.
When it was the prosecution's turn to question Rittenhouse, the judge interrupted several times, calling out the prosecutor for questioning Rittenhouse's silence after his arrest and attempting to bring in evidence the judge had previously ruled inadmissible.
When you say that you were acting in good faith, I don't believe that.
After the exchange, the defense sought a mistrial, but with prejudice, meaning Rittenhouse would go free and could not be retried for the shootings.
If convicted of homicide, Rittenhouse could face life in prison. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Former Rittenhouse defense attorney Jessa Nicholson-Goetz has said that the likelihood of a mistrial is highly improbable. In criminal court, when a jury is sworn in, prejudice attaches. This means that if a mistrial is called due to the actions of the defense, the state can select a new jury and retry the case. However, if a mistrial is caused by the actions of the prosecution, the defendant cannot be retried due to this prejudice. However, Nicholson-Goetz describes a mistrial as a very rare remedy, quote, and that a prosecution would have to be very far out of line for a mistrial with prejudice to be called. She stated that if Judge Bruce Schroeder were to accept the bid for the mistrial, he would have done so then and there. And the fact that he did not accept or deny the bid means that he is more than likely waiting to see the behavior of the prosecution over the coming days, as they will now have to be more careful following the theatrics of Wednesday. Nicholson-Goetz also believes the trial will not continue into the third week.
Now to the latest on the tragedy at a Houston concert that killed 8 people. Rapper Travis Scott continued to perform after the declaration of a mass casualty event. The city's police chief initially defended the decision not to stop the show immediately, but yesterday he told a different story. Lilia Luciano has more.
For roughly an hour, a chaotic scene raged at the Astroworld Music Festival Friday night, and the show continued for almost 40 minutes after a mass casualty event was declared. Now, investigators are trying to figure out why. On Wednesday, Houston Police Chief Troy Finner said his officers were in communication with festival personnel as CPR was being administered to multiple individuals. He later clarified on Twitter that police also told those in charge of the event to shut down the performance.
The ultimate authority to end a show is with production and the entertainer, okay? And that should be through communication with public safety officials.
But on Saturday, in the more immediate aftermath of the festival, Finner defended the decision to let the show continue and said his department was part of that choice.
Okay, well, you cannot just close when you got 50,000 and over 50,000 individuals, okay? We have to worry about rioting, and there was a cooperation and discussion between promoters, our fire department, the police department, so I think that part was pretty good.
CBS News obtained video from a source close to the Astroworld Music Festival, appearing to show police near the stage during Scott's performance. This video was shot at around 10 p.m., with police seemingly unaware of the severity of the situation in the crowd, some 20 minutes after the mass casualty event was declared. The source says that means it would be difficult for the performers to know as well.
Regarding those images, Houston police says that they're looking into the actions of everyone involved, and that includes their own officers. Now, late Wednesday night, Travis Scott's attorney put out a statement accusing city officials of finger-pointing, of sending inconsistent messages, and of backtracking on their original statements. On that, HPD is not commenting. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Houston.
Organizers at the festival still have not provided precise records on the private security personnel that were said to be working the show. Scott's attorney states that only the festival director and executive producers have the ability to stop the show, and that these people are not tied to Scott himself. Chief Finner of the police department in Houston states that he spoke to Scott prior to the show to address his concerns, and that he didn't know just how tragic the incident would be. Finner cautions that this is just the early stages of the investigation, and no blame will be put on any organization. And in a breaking news update to this story, a 22-year-old Texas A&M student passed away today, bringing the total loss of this tragedy to 9. Very heartbreaking, but anyways, after this break, we will be coming with your weather and your sports update. Stay tuned.
My ancestors have been there since the beginning of time. All the 425 plus burial sites have been destroyed because of development.
When we talk about this land trust, it's healing for everybody. It's not just, oh, we're Native people, we're close to the land, we have this spiritual connection. Everybody has a spiritual connection, but it's been lost.
This generation has to make that leap in order for us to survive.
Monday night at 9. Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your weather. Today we have a special weather statement. The National Weather Service has issued a storm warning until 7 p.m. tonight for portions of central, eastern, and western Lake Superior. Southeast winds 30 to 40 knots with gusts up to 55 KT and waves 14 to 19 feet occurring. While the storm won't impact us here on shore, very strong winds will cause hazardous waves which could capsize or damage vessels and reduce visibility. Now looking ahead at our current conditions, it is rainy with a temperature of 49 degrees. Our winds are northwest at 18 miles per hour and our barometric pressure is 29.36 inches and falling. Looking into tonight's conditions, it will be cloudy with a low of 31 degrees and our winds will be south-southwest at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow's conditions will be partly cloudy with a high of 43 and our winds will be north at 8 miles per hour. Looking across the UP, it is raining throughout, starting over in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 51 and partly cloudy. Manistique at 49, Escanaba at 50, down in Menominee it is 52, Iron Mountain at 48, Ironwood at 41, up in Houghton it is 49, and here in Marquette it as well is 49. Looking ahead at our weekly conditions, starting with Saturday, it'll be a high of 38 and a low of 29 with snow early on in the day. Sunday will be a high of 37 and a low of 31 with snow throughout the day. And Monday will be a high of 39 and a low of 27 with snow in the early hours of the day as well. Now sending it over to Michael Cudahy with our sports.
Hi there. Taking a look at the Minnesota Wild as they start their road trip through the Southwest. Last night they faced off against the one-win Arizona Coyotes. And oh boy, did the Wild stay red hot. Joel Eriksson next shot a laser past Karel Melka, sorry about that. And with a John Merrill shot from the point being deflected by Marcus Foligno, made the game 2-0. Kevin Fiala later scored his first goal since the first game of the season, and the Wild went up 3-1. And Dmitry Kulikov got his first goal in a Wild sweater by dancing through the slot and firing one past Valmeka. Karel the Thrill, Dollar Bill Kaprizov went tic-tac-toe with Matt Zuccarello behind the net onto the power play for the Wild's 5th goal in a 5-2 win. And let's rock and roll and stroll over to Formula One. The Brazilian Grand Prix will kick off tomorrow with the first free practice session. Max Verstappen is looking to widen the gap between him and Lewis Hamilton and will be looking for his 3rd straight race win. Mercedes, after making a late pit stop in the Mexican Grand Prix last weekend, were able to hold on to a 1-point lead in the Constructors' Championship over Red Bull, who they themselves hold a 209-point lead over Ferrari, who are fighting with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris in their McLarens for 3rd. And there will not be a show tomorrow. Our Northern Michigan Wildcats drive up to Houghton to play Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech has won 5 of the last 6 meetings with Brian Hallinan, Alec Brossman, and starting goalie Blake Pytilla. It's looking like that trend may continue this weekend. Tech only has 2 players scoring at a point per game pace this year, but Northern has 5. Those 5 are AJ Vanderbeck and Hank Krohn with 13, Michael Kalel and Andre Gantos with 12, and Hampus Eriksson with 9. We will likely see Luscious Locks goalie Rico DiMatteo in goal for Northern, but don't rule out the possibility for freshman goalie Charlie Glockner. We hope everyone has a great weekend, and as always, go Cats.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.